And hello, everyone. Welcome to another power scanning session. It is May 17, 2025. Oh boy, time flies. The last thing I remember was this New Year's, and now it's 5 months already into the year. Crazy, crazy times. In any case, also today, we are going to be on the lookout for the most interesting swing trading setups for the week ahead. But before we get started, let me ask you guys a question. Where are you calling in from? Who do we have today in the room? Where are you guys calling in from? I myself am calling in from northern Germany today. It is a bit of a cloudy day today. It was raining a little bit earlier. Nonetheless, very nice weather overall right here at the Baltic Sea coast in northern Germany. I'll be spending 2 more days here and then going to be heading back to our headquarters in Montreal. But who do we have in the room today? Please put your location into the Q&A box. Let me see. Oh, Edda from Hamburg. I bet you the weather is probably similar to what we have in Germany. Hi, Edda. How's it going? Andrea, also from Hamburg. Nice. Wow, very many nearby viewers today. Awesome. Aubrey from Cyprus. Hey, Aubrey. How's it going? Always nice and warm and sunny in Cyprus. Yes, yes, we know, we know. Gernot from Vienna, Wien. Hi, Gernot, how's it going? Wie geht's? Will this be recorded? Of course, it's going to be recorded. We shall. So, perfect. Do we have anybody from the US today? Or is it the pure European event today? Who else do we have? Ah, there we go. Mark from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your location. And now let's get started let me ask you guys another question actually. Is there anyone here joining us for the very first time at our live scanning session or any of our, trading indicators webinars? Do we have anybody for the very first time here? And while you are thinking about this one, we have also Vishal from Houston, Texas. Hey there. David from Carlsbad, California. Garrett from Santa Fe. Hey there. And Jim from Niagara Falls. And Jim says first time. Well, awesome. Hey, Jim, thank you for joining us for the very first time. I hope we are going to make it worth your while. And of course, welcome to our community of traders here at tradingindicators.com. And for all of those who are joining us for the first time, let me give you a quick history. My name is Daniel Sinek. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side, and together with Homa here in the middle, we have created tradingindicators.com about 10 years ago. Yes, we are nearing our 10 years anniversary later on this year, and there will be a special coming up for this as well. But our mission has always been to create trading indicators which will simplify your trading approach and not make it more complex. We believe that trading indicators are there to help you and not to confuse you. And over the years, we have gathered quite a bit of experience in building trading indicators. We've built almost 1,000 of them for clients all over the world, for various platforms, for TradingView, for Wave, TradeStation, Thinkorswim, MetaStock, MetaTrader, and so forth and so forth. And then about 5 years into our history, Nicholas joined us as our lead developer at Trading Indicators. And you, of course, if you're joining us week over week, you know Nicholas, and he's going to be also in the room today looking out for your questions. But of course, today, while yes, we will be using indicators, we will also be using a tool which we have designed to find the most interesting swing trading setups for the week ahead. As you will see, a tool which makes it very easy to pinpoint stocks or other asset classes which right now have an interesting technical setup. One more thing before we start. If you have any questions, please don't hold back. Put your questions into the Q&A box, and Niklas, as mentioned, will keep an eye on those questions, and we will address those as we proceed through this presentation. Also, a quick reminder that trading does contain substantial risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and setups and strategies and symbols discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, so with this out of the way, let's get into it. And I'm gonna, do a little bit of housekeeping just to ease into today's topic. So first topic is that our recording of our live trading workshop is now available on YouTube. And all you need to do is to go to tradingindicators.com/live. And let me see if Nicholas is there. He's there. Perfect. Nicholas, please put this link into the chat box. And I'm pointing this one out because I think this was the first live trading workshop where we have used the majority of our indicators to find the most promising setups. And the one trade that turned out to be the biggest winner of that day, it was a kind of a tough trading day. Things were not as clear cut, but we managed to came out positive, which is great. And the one trade which kind of brought us over the edge, everything lined up perfectly. So we create our market story using Volume IQ and Liquidity IQ and MA Rush. Now we had an idea of what may happen next. And then we got confirmation from our signal indicators, from our Power Bundle AI indicators, that this trade is happening right now. So we executed it, we entered into it, and it turned out to be a nice winning trade. So please check it out if you haven't seen it yet at tradingindicators.com/live. All right, so that's that. Also, if you are a user of our Liquidity View dashboard, the tool which we will be using today to find interesting swing trading ideas, but you may be overwhelmed with all the features in there, no problem. Check out our bootcamp at tradingindicators.com/bootcamp to learn all about the various features in that dashboard. Also, if you're not in our Discord channel yet, it's completely free. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/Discord to join our Discord server. And in there, you're going to get trade alerts for swing trading, for day trading, for anything in between. There's going to be a trading talk as well where you can ask questions, where you where you can ask questions, where you get answers quickly, and where we share trade ideas. So it's kind of a small trading room as well in our Discord channel. And last but not least, what we're going to be doing today is we will interactively scan for interesting setups using our Liquidity View dashboard. And it's always better if you follow along interactively as well. So if you don't have access to our dashboard yet, you can get 1 week of a free trial by simply going to tradingindicators.com/view. Sign up for a free trial. There's no commitment needed. And not even a payment will be taken from your account. Simply go there, sign up for a full week. And if you like it, of course, we have interesting monthly and yearly options afterwards. So tradingindicators.com/view to sign up. And the cool thing is that you will get instant access. Basically, right away, you can use the dashboard. It will probably take maybe 1 minute, and then you're in it, and you can follow along using the same scans as we will be doing right now in this session. All right. So what's last thing, hopefully the last thing, the ebook, if you haven't downloaded it yet, go to tradingindicators.com/power of 3. It's an ebook about the setups that we will be using today. We call it the Power of 3 because there are exactly 3 setups which we primarily use in these live scanning sessions. And lastly, and then I promise you we're going to get into it, if you have any feedback about anything regarding the dashboard, regarding our webinars, regarding our other tools, please share this feedback with us. This is the feedback which drives our further development. In fact, most of the features in the dashboard, but also of our indicators, they were driven by your feedback, by your suggestions, by your recommendations, and so forth. So please don't stop giving us this feedback, because this is what drives our development. All right. So with this, let's get into it. Let's start with the market review. Oh boy, what a week it was. So let me switch over to our dashboard, if I can find it real quick. There we go. It's down here. All right. So this is our Liquidity View dashboard. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up some of the, the major market indices. Let's start with the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. So I'm going to be opening up on the chart here. And what do we see here? Well, we said it in our newsletter that last week would be probably telling what is likely to happen next. Will we see another bounce to the downside? Because we were right here last week, and we're approaching this former support level, this little red line. You can see it here. This was broken back here on March 6th, give or take. And since then, it's been acting as resistance, because when support is broken, it will change roles. It will become resistance. So this is what happened here. And price was approaching this level last Friday. This was last Friday's thing. And on the weekend, we were saying, hey, we may see a bounce off this level. We're going to let the market decide of what the market wants to do. Well, clearly, it has not bounced off. In fact, it broke this level. Now we're trading way above this level, basically in between this support level, or this broken support level, and this resistance level on top. Now, will we see all-time highs next week? Well, maybe it is possible. It looks definitely very bullish, and this is a classic V-shaped pattern here. Not many analysts have predicted such a V-shape. People thought, hey, this correction is going to take long, it's going to drag out of all the tariffs, and there was no land in sight for a while. But guess what? Tariffs, the issues was resolved very quickly, and we have this beautiful V-shaped pattern here. It happens every once in a while in the market, and now we are once again approaching this level here, which is pretty much at the all-time highs level in the SPY. So are we going to see these all-time highs next week? Well, maybe, but just one word of caution, and we did point it out in our newsletter as well. It didn't happen yet, but we do have this substantial up gap here. Do you see it here? So we closed Friday at around 563 and then open up here at 581. This is a significant gap. And, I've been talking about gaps for quite a while now. And, gaps oftentimes, not always, there's always exceptions to the rule, but oftentimes these gaps get at least tested or even filled. And for this gap to get filled, what needs to happen? Well, price needs to come down all the way down here. This is a possibility, especially after such a big bull run. A correction of this bullish move up is definitely in the books, and we have to be aware of this. Well, and see what happens when the market opens. So I would hold my horses quite yet. We are not at this all-time highs level yet. There's still ways to go, and this gap here is a reality. And at least we should be cautious and aware that this might cause another leg down in this very bullish uptrend that we're having right now. All right, so this was the SPY, but let me now switch over to the QQQs. What's happening there? So the NASDAQ 100 ETF. Okay, and what you can see here is pretty much exactly the same pattern as we've seen with the SPY, just a little bit bigger. So the SPY and the QQs, they always trade in tandem, or almost always trade in tandem, with the only difference oftentimes that the QQQs are a bit more volatile. Meaning this deep V down here, that's a deeper one. If you measure the percentages, this is a higher percentage loss here, and also a quicker, higher percentage gain right afterwards. Now, it's just a bit more volatile in the QQQs, but the basic price pattern, this is pretty much identical with the SPY. So it is not surprising that also here, we are now in a situation where we gapped above this resistance level. Very similar to the SPY. And last weekend, we were asking the question, will we see a bounce to the downside? Well, of course not. We went above this level. We broke this resistance level, and now we're trading in the middle between this former resistance level and this one up here. Now, what will happen next? Pretty much the same argumentation here. Well, there's a huge gap here. This gap might get tested. It is a possibility, and we need to be aware of this. So the markets may correct a bit further down. It was a very fast move up. I would not be surprised if we do. And of course, if we do, it's going to be interesting to see if prices hold at this price level or perhaps even go further down. So I think we're not out of the woods yet, even though it looks pretty bullish to me. And one last thing, let me quickly overlay the VIX over this chart. As you know, the VIX is the volatility index, and the more volatile markets are, typically, the more bearish they get. So let me quickly overlay this. You can do this by clicking this plus icon here. You go to VIX. All right, this one here. The VIX, putting it on top. There we go. And what do we see? Let me just arrange the scaling just for a second. Oops, there we go. No scale. There we go. Okay, what do we see here? It's a bit hard to see, but this was our big V-shaped pattern in the QQQs, and look what happened to the VIX. It spiked up. And when did the V-shape stop, basically? When the VIX stopped spiking and went down again. Now this shows you how telling the VIX is, and oftentimes it's also called the fear index or the fear gauge, so to say. The higher the VIX, the higher the fear, the more the markets drop often. So now we are in a situation, let me just quickly take this off from this chart so we can focus solely on the VIX. I'm taking this off here. And
Daniel, actually on that QQQ chart, we had a comment
from
Lenny, and he said, hey, that also looks like an inverted head and shoulders pattern, or is that an old-fashioned analysis?
No, definitely not. Anything technical is not old-fashioned. It's something we believe very much in. Let me just quickly, I think I did something here. How did I change my scale here? Let me just, there we go. It's set to percent. That was the reason. Okay, I just wanted to quickly go back to my regular view. And you're seeing inverted head and shoulder. You mean from here? Yeah, with the neckline
I
just
think
around
he's
here.
talking
So
about
yeah, that's,
the V over there, like the V you were pointing out. Right down there's the head, and then to the
oh
left and
yeah,
right
oh, this
immediately is
one.
the
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
shoulders.
this one.
I
Yeah, the
think.
head, the shoulder, head, shoulder here, and then it's a bullish pattern. Yeah, it is. And it's, these V's happen a lot, and this is now has become a bullish pattern. But I still want to point out that, this gap is something that worries me a little bit. Not very, but I'm aware of it basically, that it might get tested. So we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, great point. I do like head and shoulder patterns a lot, and all these technical patterns, they're all somewhat related anyways. Even our zone break retrace patterns, they probably can be related to some other classical patterns out there in technical analysis textbooks. So that's definitely not out of the yeah, out of fashion, so to say. Okay. Oh, and Aubrey says Control I to invert the chart. Let me quickly see if I can do this. No, oh, doesn't. Oh, there we go. Is it? No. Maybe it doesn't work for me. This might be something for the actual trading view platform, not for our dashboard, Aubrey. Okay, so that was the QQQ, but let's move on to the to another symbol, gold. I'm very excited about gold. Finally, it's there. It was long overdue. Analysts have been speculating about this and talking about this for a long, long time now. And people said, hey, we are so overextended in gold. It's been going up forever. We're so far away from our averages. There needs to be a pullback at some point. And finally, this pullback is materializing. So this was overdue, and it's a nice one. So we went down all the way from here, actually from here to this level now. And now we're trading close to this first line of Emmy Rush. That's our first line of defense for this pullback. And perhaps you're going to stay there, or it's going to go a bit further. I would love to see gold to even go to this line here, or maybe even testing this level, because then we would have a full level 4 pullback as per our trend radar indicator. Right now it's only level 3. You can see the last two lines here are still green, means we're still very bullish. And the first three ones, the short-term trend and the medium-term trend, they have turned bearish for now. This is a level 3 healthy pullback. These pullbacks can get bigger. You can see it here. This can go all the way down to the fourth line, which can be even the best opportunities to enter into this long-term uptrend in gold. Definitely something I will consider on Monday when the market opens, depending on where the market opens, to scale into a long position on GLD, because I think now it's a time where we are in a position to scale and step by step. And even if you go further down, I would keep on scaling in the anticipation that this long-term uptrend, it's a long-term uptrend. I'm going to check in my dashboard here for 547 trading days. We are bullish on GLD. We had these pullbacks in the past, and every single time we had a significant pullback, it was bought right afterwards. So I'm anticipating and I'm expecting. Now, of course, you never know. Historical performance is not necessarily indicative of future performance, but it kind of looks very bullish to me. Look at how long this dates back, and every single dip in gold was bought almost immediately, and we didn't drop to the fifth line. Yeah, in ages. The last time this happened was back here for this bigger correction. Even this one was bought up quite fast afterwards. So I like what I'm seeing. Maybe another leg further down, but I'm going to start scaling in if prices are going to be at the similar level on Monday when the markets open up again. All right. So that was gold, but what about oil? What about the United States Oil Fund, which we often use as a proxy for the crude oil price? I'm going to go to USO, United States Oil Fund, and we can see, wow, we called it out last week or 2 weeks ago when we neared once again one of the extremes of the sideways channel where we've been in for such a long time in oil. So if you go back, it's been 2 years. We've been ranging from this upper level here around 83 down to 63, up to 83, down, up, down, and now we bounce off once again from the 63 level right here. So this could have been a very nice long bounce trade if you would have scaled in when prices were down here. Now, right there, if you're in, nice, you probably can book some profits. I would not add something or not add more to it because we're not at the extreme anymore. We're kind of in the middle now, in between. support down here and resistance up there. So now it's a bit too late, but whenever prices went to the extreme, yeah, it had a really sharp bounce afterwards. All right, so that's for USO. What else did we have? Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin? BTC USD. All right. So you see this little white flag here. This was my attempt to draw a bull flag a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, Bitcoin had this big move up. In fact, it bounced so beautifully from the support level down here. Uh, Big correction in Bitcoin, of course, which is not super surprising because it is indeed, after a strong up move, corrections are very normal. They're part of every single trend that corrections happen. So this correction happened in Bitcoin too. It is nice to see that it respected this technical level here very nicely. We bounced off support. You can see it here, went up, and then we had this beautiful bull flag a couple of weeks back, which we broke out above. Now we're much higher. And now, to me, I mean, it looks kind of the same. We're forming another bull flag here. If I try one more time, maybe to draw one, I'm not the best drawer when it comes to these things. Okay, so I'm going to go with my brush tool here, and I'm going to draw it one more time. From here, that's my flag post. Let me make this a little bit bigger and wider. Yeah. All right, flag post, and here we are forming, once again, some sort of a flag. This is once again a bullish pattern, and I would not be surprised if we see some kind of a move upwards from this flag once again, similar to what we've seen here. And of course, if we do, then we're going to test this upper resistance level here, which coincides with the all-time highs in Bitcoin. So that's my take here of Bitcoin. But of course, be aware of this resistance level. So I'm going to switch it on real quick for those of you who are joining us for the first time. These green areas here, these are resistance levels. And these reddish ones here, these are support levels. I'm not sure where my little window went to. Let me just quickly double check. Yeah, maybe it's not opening out. It doesn't matter, but take my word for it. This is resistance and this is support down here. All right, so this concludes our market review. We're going to have some symbols, some other symbols later on. And Aubrey just pointed out Alt-I is for inversion. Let me try it. Ah, there we go. Oh, Aubrey, maybe you should be taking these webinars or having these webinars instead of me. Perfect. So let's go back one quick time to NASDAQ, just because we had this question there with the head of shoulders. So the actual NASDAQ price looks like this. And if you do Alt-I on your keyboard, you invert the price pattern. You can see your neck and shoulder, head and shoulder pattern here. Yeah, shoulder here, head up here, another shoulder here, and then the break below.
Daniel.
Beautiful. Yes.
While we're on QQQ, we had a question there from Leopold. The V pattern was unexpected, or am I wrong?
To many analysts, it was unexpected. They were expecting this. It seemed so dire at times with the whole tariffs and the economical situations. And there was bad news all the time that people thought, hey, this could be the beginning of a major, major correction. And it was one. It was a big correction. But the anticipation was, and this comes from opinions out there, this is going to drag on longer. I think people are surprised how fast it eventually resolved, that we're now approaching all-time highs. So typically what you see, and just to maybe relate this, there we go, is something like this. You have a correction, you initially go down, prices go up again, another leg down, up again, and perhaps another leg down, and then eventually it will resolve. This is not what we had here, but this is the pattern that I believe many people expected from this correction, that it drags out longer. This is, to me, is also kind of a surprise. It went down so quickly. We had one little correction here when we broke this support level, now acting as resistance, up here, and then the leg down, and then basically just back up again very fast.
Thank you. And then 2 questions from John Martin. Number 1, have you started preparing the SP 100, 500 NASDAQ watch lists?
It's on our list, so we'll be doing this. For the sectors, it's going to be a bit longer, but we're going to plan to have these watches done for the S&P 500 and for the NASDAQ 100. And then step by step, we're going to be integrating new features. But it's not done yet. It may sound super, super simple, but since these are all dynamic lists to some extent, we need to have some logic in where they will be updated also dynamically. And this is something that we can, it needs to be programmed. So this takes a bit longer, and it may sound obvious, at first glance, but if you want to automate it, it's a little bit more complex. And John, I
Okay.
see a message
Oh,
about the trial. Please send me a message after this webinar, please, so we can discuss it. Okay, by email.
sure. And then Lenny says, hey, what are or are there stats for gap fills?
Yeah, we don't know yet, but a great question. We, at least it's in our books, and we start working on one. I know Niklas has given me a prototype, which we are currently reviewing. We are working on a gap indicator. This is the first step towards getting these statistics, which shows us basically where are these gaps, up or down gaps on the chart. And once we can identify these gaps with an indicator, then we can look at stats like how many times do these gaps get filled and stuff like this. So this is on the horizon. And we plan to integrate this into the dashboard later on this year, probably during the summer, along with other cool features such as seasonality, for example. That's something I'm super interested in. Looking at seasonal patterns, which are not so obvious, not the classic apple goes up in December pattern that Away talks about, but there are other seasonal patterns for other symbols out there. And I'd love to see what these ones are. That's coming as well.
Awesome. And then the next question, if we can please go back to the Bitcoin chart, was
Yeah.
from Lenny. He noticed that liquidity IQ in the scanner, the setup is actually a short bounce, but you seem more bullish. So why would that be?
Well, it is a short bounce because we are nearing this resistance level. There is a possibility that this will act as resistance. And the indicator rightfully told us, hey, this is short bounce. We are near resistance. We may see a lag further down. I think we kind of already seeing a bit of this side effect that we're so near resistance by this flag pattern. Big move up, and then we're ranging now here. Uh, so yes, we need to be aware of this. And I said this, I think we're going to see all-time highs soon, or nearing the all-time highs, prices approaching this level here. Whether we're going to see a bounce of this level or not, this remains to be seen. But yeah, definitely be cautious that there is a resistance level right above price right now, for sure.
Perfect. Okay. And then Aubrey just commented Alt I is used more in Australia, which
Oh,
is funny.
is that really true? Or is it more like an Apple versus PC thing? Anyways.
I think it's a they're upside down because they're on the other side of the world joke.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm still getting used to Aubrey's sense of humor. Yeah.
Emma wants to know, and I guess we could look at this later, but the question was, do you trade futures, NQ, ES, etc., with this same type of approach?
Yeah, this is a swing trading system. So these are swing trades, and I think you don't trade these future contracts in a swing trading manner. I don't know anyone who does it. It's more like a day trading and short-term trading thing, but we trade them all the time using these indicators, but just on lower time frames. And what we do for those ones is we use our indicators like Liquidity IQ and MA Rush and Trend Radar and our Power Bundle indicators and Volume IQ on the actual TradingView platform connected to a broker like Interactive Brokers or Iron Bean or whatever it may be. And then we day trade from that platform. We do this all the time. This is kind of the second thing we do. We do swing trading a lot. We scan for these setups, and today's session is for swing trading. But during the week, we do a lot of day trading as well. And please join our Discord for this, Emma, where we post a lot of day trading ideas throughout the week.
Yes, yes, same setups a lot of the time, but smaller time frames. And an anonymous attendee wants to know, are you going to be able to predict when a gap will happen?
I think that's going to be hard when it will happen. It's easier to predict that a gap might get filled. So now, this is, I think, something we cannot predict. Of course, if markets are closed and big fundamental news are happening, like last weekend where the tariffs were suddenly resolved between the US and China, well, then on that weekend, it was predictable, but unfortunately, there's nothing you can do because the markets are closed and they will gap open on Monday. So, no, but not from any practical senses for trading, we cannot predict these gaps.
Perfect. Okay. And the last two before we continue is from John. And I think the answer is yes. So he asked, can we focus more on swing trading on QQQ SP100 Bitcoin? But that's what we're doing right here for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So we usually
exactly.
do focus that for those. And Leopold wants to know, can you trade Bitcoin on
I
Interactive
believe
Brokers,
so.
Daniel?
Yeah, they now have an offering for crypto on Interactive Brokers, but double check with your jurisdictions. I believe I definitely have seen it. We in Canada cannot do it. It depends a bit where you are, but there are definitely some jurisdictions which are allowed to trade Bitcoin with Interactive Brokers, but it depends where you are in the world. And this is a question asked for to Interactive Brokers.
Perfect. Okay.
But there are
More
so
good to
many
continue.
alternatives. If you don't want to trade outright crypto, you can take any of the futures based on cryptos or some of the ETFs that follow certain coins and so forth. So there are many alternatives for that as well. Cool.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now let's switch over to the actual meat, so to say, of this webinar, because we want to find setups which are interesting right now. So what should we consider for the next week and the next weeks ahead? Which stocks are interesting right this moment? All right, so for this, we're going to start our scanning process, and it's basically a three-step process. We're going to focus on one setup at a time, and there are pretty much three setups which we typically consider. Then based on this, we will create a hot list of symbols which look interesting. And then towards the end, we're going to do a detailed analysis of these stocks in that hot list to find the ones which are the most interesting ones. All right, so what are these setups that we focus on? Well, basically, there are three setups with a bit of a twist. The first one is the healthy pullback setup. So a healthy pullback happens in every good and steady uptrend. There's no trend in this world, no uptrend in this world, which will go up in a straight line. This is not possible. You might be able to draw a line like this, but in reality, you can see it here. Things are swinging up and down. A high point then is replaced by some kind of correction, which then, but leads to another leg higher and so forth and so forth. And these corrections from these high points, these are completely normal, and we call these healthy pullback if they stay within reason. Yeah, if they're not deep, not too deep. So if they're kind of shallowish, and we consider everything between a level 1 to a level 4 of a pullback as shallow, then we call these healthy pullbacks. And we have an indicator designed to find these healthy pullbacks, which is our trend radar indicator here, which shows you directly on the chart, where these pullbacks are happening, by these little red patches here. While the last row of our trend radar indicator still remains green, meaning the overall long-term uptrend is intact, and this is just a correction within that longer-term uptrend or downtrend. It could go both ways for bull trends and bear trends as well. And this can be further reinforced if this correction, and this leads us to our next setup, coincides with a key support level. So imagine we have a level 4 pullback, a healthy pullback, right to a technical level on the chart. Wouldn't that be cool? What is exactly what we often scan for, where this correction coincides with a key support level where prices may bounce off from to the upside. This is just a second factor in our favor, anticipating a bounce to the upside. So we are long-term bullish, and we are nearing support, and then this puts just another checkbox in our books to anticipate another leg further up. All right, so now let me go back to our scanner right here, and let's start scanning. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to scan for is for stocks which currently have a healthy pullback, as per our trend radar indicator down here, a healthy bullish pullback. And all you need to do is to go to this pullback column here directly on your scanner. You will select the filter on the right-hand side, and you will select level 4. Now, this is typically the pullback I like to see the most, because it's still healthy. It's still just a very normal pullback if you're an uptrend, but it's the deepest one, meaning prices have pulled back the most. They got cheapest, the most, they got quite cheap because it's a quite deep pullback, but still healthy. So I like to scan for those. And we can see here, of our almost 5,000 stocks, only 73 stocks are currently in a level 4 pullback. That's crazy, yeah? See how few stocks these are, which are of interest to us. Okay, that's cool. So the next thing I like to do is also I like to, filter by trend direction. You may say, hey, if it's a healthy pullback, we need to be bullish, but I also want to be bullish as per our MA rush indicator. So I'm going to select bullish here, and then we're down to 67 stocks. So not much, changed. We only filtered out a few more symbols, but then this allows me to do the following. I can now filter by trend duration from highest to lowest. And for example, the first one that comes up is this one here, iShares Physical Gold ETC. Whatever this symbol is, trade on the London Stock Exchange, and look how beautiful this pullback is for various reasons. Long-term uptrend, trending up for 875 trading days, but recently corrected down. It's a very expensive symbol from 5,000 down to 4,600. That's significant. That's 10% of a correction. And actually, I really like this one because there's another thing that comes in right here, and you have to look a bit careful. Do you see this little green line here? This used to be a resistance level, which was broken down here, or up back here. Price went above it, and when resistance gets broken, it becomes support. And guess where prices stop pulling back to? Exactly at this broken resistance level, now acting as support. So I really like this symbol. I'm going to add this one. Yeah, to our watch list for the next week ahead. It's a bit pricey, but nonetheless, I think it's an interesting stock to put on. You can see it here on Trend Radar. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows are red. The last one is still green. That's a level 4 healthy pullback within a long-lasting uptrend. So I'm going to add this one to our watch list for the next week. So in this dashboard, we can create a watch list by going on the scanner here all the way down, create. We're going to call this setups. Oops, setups. There we go. Colon 2025-05. And what's today's date, Nicholas? This is 16 or 17, I believe. 17? Is it 17?
17.
17. Okay, yeah. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so much stuff going on here. All right, 17. So we're going to add this one to our watch list. There we go. Oops. Okay. And the symbol now has been added. We're going to revisit these symbols a bit later. The next one is this one here. Now Inc. I wonder if this is the previous ServiceNow company. No, very different. Okay, so here we have a level 4 pullback. The last row is still green, and this stock is, you can see it here, since 816 trading days in an uptrend. It may not seem like it like here on this little snippet, but if you go back, you can see this stock is to some degree in an uptrend, but it's a very choppy one. Actually, I'm going to skip this one. To me, too choppy. It's not a clean uptrend. Contrast this one with this one here, which is a beautiful, very steady uptrend and a nice correction. And this is not the case here, so we're going to skip this one. Third, ADMA Biologics, also in the pullback, and we had this one a few times on our radar. We can see a pullback here off this resistance level, and let me just quickly see what was our call back then. I believe it was probably. Let me see. This is the trade notes we're going to open up now. It's just going to take a second to load. This is from February the 1st. And I know this symbol had a trade note because it was filled out here. You can see this one here. This means there is a trade note, or at least one associated with this symbol. And let me just quickly see what that trade note was, if it ever opens up to. Oh, there we go. It's just a bit sluggish here. It must be my northern German internet connection. It takes a little while to load. It's going much faster on yours. And look at this beautiful trade here. This was our zone break retrace trade, or a bounce trade. At $16, we said, hey, this is a potential long entry opportunity. And look what happened since. Beautiful bounce off this level here. This was back here in January. And what a nice move up we had. And now we're nearing, once again, this particular level here in a level 4 pullback. So we're going to add this one also to our watch list. All right. And you can see how easy it is to find these interesting symbols. But guess what? There's one more step what we can do. We can correlate now this pullback with a support level. Right now, this would not be qualifying for this. We're too far away from the support level. Wouldn't it be nice to see a level 4 pullback, which brought us also to a key support level? Let's see if we can find stocks like this. It may not happen, since it takes a little while to, well, it's very selective that way. So let me go here to our Liquidity IQ setup column and select long bounce. Long bounce meaning we are nearing a support level and we bounce off to the long side. So let's enter this one in. And no, today, no such stock. As I said, this is very, very selective. They have these setups. We had them in the past quite a few times, but the market conditions right now, give us no such setup, which is okay, because every single day when the market closes, this entire scanner will recalculate its setups. And every single day, you may find a stock which qualifies for exactly this. Okay, so, but having this said, let me find some stocks which are not in a level 4 pullback, but which are nonetheless near a key support level. So what I've done here, I just simply selected long bounce for all my bullish stocks, which give me 55 different stocks. And I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of them. What about this one up here? SWDAL, iShares Core, MSCI World, and so forth and so forth. Ooh, what happened here? Huge. I don't know what happened. This must be a glitch in the data, I believe. This doesn't seem right, so I'm going to skip this one. This, I think this is a data gap or data issue here. I hope at least that the stock didn't drop down from 8,000 all the way down to this price level. So we're going to skip this one, go to the next one. Arch Capital Group. Okay, this is an interesting one because this one has been bullish for 1,109 trading days. Look at this one here. You can see it here. Very, very bullish, but right now in a bigger correction. And I was not surprised to see this correction because this was a huge, huge move run up. You see this one from down here all the way up here, a very bullish move. After a long bullish move, you oftentimes see a lengthy correction. And we are right in that correctional phase. But what I like about this one is I think this low point here might be the low point of this correction. And if we manage to stay above this level, ideally also above this resistance level here, I think we're going to see another leg further up. So here, this is definitely an interesting bullish idea, but I would like to wait until prices come above this resistance level here. If we do, I think we're going to see another leg further up. So we're going to keep this on the back burner for now. I'm going to put this on our watch list, but we're going to wait to see where the market wants to bring us next.
And Daniel,
All right.
um,
Next one, Post Holdings Inc. What do we see here?
Daniel, before you
Yes.
go ahead, could you please go back to that last one, ACGL?
Yeah.
So we had a question from Anonymous. How about short bounce on that one? So why wouldn't you be thinking a short bounce?
Because the stock is too bullish for me. I like to trade with the overarching trend. So this one is, you can see it here, it's bullish for 1,109 trading days. So the trend surely goes up here. So I don't want to go against that. That's the only reason. But having this is actually a great question. We can find short bound setups by simply selecting it here. But also here, I like to see stocks which are actually currently bearish. Don't want to go against the overarching trend if it's bullish. So I'm going to go select bearish here. You can see we have 125 stocks right now in that situation. And the first one, we'll see. Let me maybe also put a little price filter on because some of these stocks, they're so low price, I would never trade them. So also maybe say stocks above 25 bucks. All right. So the first one that comes up, oh, that's surprising. Look at this one here, TD Bank. That's actually my bank in Canada. Funnily, it says it's bearish for 676 trading days, and it doesn't seem that bearish here. Actually, this is a really interesting one because we're at this upper bounce. Let me just quickly have a look where we are coming from. I would suspect that this stock is coming from ways above. Yeah, bearish since here. So this trend moved over, and now once again we are. This is actually a cool one. I'm going to add this to our watch list here. We are right at this upper bounds of this key resistance level. And in the past, we had 1, 2, 3, and perhaps another fourth bounce of this level. So if you want to, play to the short side, this could be an interesting, perhaps, trade setup for put options. Buy put options, maybe to see if we see another bounce of this key level. We have a bearish trend. We are right at resistance, and we may see a bounce to the downside. On top of all this, we also do have, we can see it here, a liquidity capture event. This is a little shaded area. This is what we call a liquidity capture, meaning that this bar, which led up into this resistance level, had unusually high volume. And oftentimes this could be a sign that, hey, something is happening, something is up. Perhaps the bears are stepping in there, the sellers are stepping in there, preventing price from going any higher than this level and dropping it down once again. So interesting. I'm going to add TD. This happens to be my bank. Not just for me personally, but also for our business here at Bayous. It's a great bank. But, I just don't discriminate. If this bank has a bearish setup, I don't mind shorting it at all. Earnings coming up on TD, Aubrey said. Okay, great question. Yeah, thanks, Aubrey. As I said, you probably should be doing these webinars. You can see it here, earnings coming up on in a couple of days on May 22nd. Definitely something to consider. Yeah. So maybe a strangle would not be the worst idea. Strangle is an options trade where you bet on the fact that prices are going to move. And I think here, prices are likely going to move. We are right at resistance. So we may see a big bounce of it to the downside, or we may see a break, which can also be significant. And this can be further fueled by earnings coming up. So if the earnings are anything than the expected, we may see a big price move here. So I'd be curious to see what options prices are and whether a strangle trade is still feasible. Oftentimes, when you get close to earnings, option prices are getting more expensive. And that may not be so appealing, but definitely something of interest here. So I'm going to add this one to our hot list.
Thurston has a question about that options trade there.
Yeah.
She asked, when you talk about puts, you mean long puts or short puts?
Long puts here in this case. Yeah, you want to have a bearish. So here For my bearish trade, it would be long puts. Yeah, he would buy puts. Because if you short puts, it would be a bullish setup or bullish strategy. But here, my strategy would be bearish, so long puts.
Thanks. And on this same chart, we can answer Lenny's question. On that previous bounce from the resistance, like the one in
Yeah.
September, Lenny said, you have an example of trend radar showing a confirmed breakdown. So like a trend reversal, which I think there's kind of one right there where everything just snaps bearish.
Yeah, exactly. So here we were, oops, what happened here? 1 second. Nope. I don't know what happened to my trend radar indicator. Let me just, nope. 1 second. So this happens when you do a live webinar. I'm just move this. Let me take it off and put it back on. So if you ever make a mistake like this or mess something around, don't know how to reverse it, just put it back on. Or just simply click the reset button down here as well, which I made. There we go. Okay, so trend radar is back. And yeah, so here you may have thought, well, let me make this a bit bigger, that we are, even though I wouldn't have thought this, because this upturn is just way too short. This green pattern here, this may be like a healthy pullback, or this may be a healthy pullback, a level 1 pullback in this bullish pattern. And then, little and you completely reverse. You can see it here. It can happen at any time, but this stock here was just way too rangy for me to make that conclusion in this particular case. But of course, hindsight is always 2020, but it just seemed very rangy. This kind of reminds me to the oil price, where prices range in between these key levels from the upside to the downside. And these could be interesting strategies, very high reward and low risk. Because if you're wrong, you're going to get out very quickly and prices just go a little bit above this level here. And if you're right, you may be in for a big move to the downside. And Aubrey said, if I close my account with TD, it would likely go further down. I wish Aubrey had this kind of influence on my bank. Yeah. All right. And Stephanie wants to know, is the TD stock trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange in Toronto, does it have a different price pattern? I don't know. We don't need to open it up on Trading to see. By my gut feeling tells me it's probably very similar. Yeah, price-wise. Okay. Any other questions, Nicholas, so far?
We had one question. That's a symbol request for later, RMBS, I suppose. And
Yeah.
another one, does anyone tabulate the results over time if you are always following these setups?
I don't know. Maybe you guys, do we have our watch list? You can see it here. We always keep them. So every single week we do have our watch list. And, so far we've been I believe, pretty decent with our picks. Quite out some nice ones. We called out Eli Lilly a while back, and we actually had this on our watch list lately again, calling out this bounce from this lower bound here. So also kind of rangy Eli Lilly, very long-term uptrend. This one I would only play to the long side, and we called out this bounce off this key support level here. And now Eli Lilly went down to the support level again, and the call was the same thing, a bounce off this level. We'll see how far it goes, but definitely this was significant already, 50 points up in a couple of days. So this was definitely a nice call. We'll see if this continues. So yeah, it's been, I believe, quite successful so far. And what I like to look at are these technical setups. If they look clean to me, and if they allow me to, if they confirm the market story, which I already have in my mind, where right now for Lilly, for example, and this is probably a ticker that many of you would ask for anyways, my market story tells me we are right now in a correctional phase. This was a huge move up, all the way from down here, even further to this level here. And I mentioned it before, big moves up, they typically at some point are followed by a rather lengthy correction. And exactly this is what's happening right now. This is a lengthy correction, taking almost a year now, but very normal after such a big move. And this may even continue for another 6 months or maybe a year. But even these correctional phases, I would just play the ranges. I play the bounce off this lower range to the upside. Because I'm thinking, hey, this is the end of it. This is the low point is in with this low swing low here potentially. And every time it comes near that, I'm going long. And that's my market story. And this is if this adds up to me, this is good enough and we'll take in these trades. So I like to keep it simple. And and the beauty about this is that these setups, they come every single day. Even today, if we don't find too many, and there's going to be some interesting ones coming up very soon. For sure, tomorrow there will be new setups, the day after, and so forth and so forth. Maybe not tomorrow because the markets are still closed, but you know what I mean. All right. So with this, let me quickly go to the other two setups, which I wanted to discuss today because this was the bounce setup, but at some point, zones are being broken, support is being broken to the downside, and resistance is being broken to the upside at some point. And if this happens, this is also an opportunity to us, for us as traders, because then we can bet, in quotes, bet on the fact that prices will continue in the direction of the break for quite some time. We see it here with the zone break below support. Prices continue. They may bounce back one more time towards this broken support level, which is now acting as resistance. It switched roles, and then the move continues. But nonetheless, the idea is that prices may continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time. And the same can happen for the case where resistance is broken to the upside. Here, the anticipation is prices will continue in the direction of the break for quite some time. But there might be a retracement first, back to the broken level, now acting as support, and then price will continue. All right, so how can we scan for these setups? Let me start with the zone break retrace setups because there's some really interesting ones out there today. So let me go here, back to our scanner, which currently tracks around 5,000 symbols. And let's use our Liquidity IQ setup column here to select long break retrace. Basically stocks which broke above resistance and now pulled back towards that resistance level, now acting as support. And the first one that comes up here is a good old friend of ours. It is, where is it? SNX, Stone X. And if you remember, and I probably do if you have received our newsletter, which came out on Monday, last Monday, this was our trade of the week. It's a beautiful pattern. I really like it. It's very clean because this stock is in a very long-term confirmed uptrend. Look at this. It's just very steady going upwards. It broke above its resistance level here at this point on April 23 or something like this. It broke above it. You can see this level here. It broke above it and now it retraced back to this level. And I think this is a nice, beautiful setup right at the point where you want to have it. You may even see a further pullback perhaps to this level here, filling the gap. There's just a gap below this level. This is possible, but you can start scaling into this long trade in the anticipation that this long-term uptrend is going to continue after this pullback. So to me, very beautiful setup. I'm going to add this one again to our watch list for the next week. So this is still very much valid. All right. So first that one. And then the other ones, they are not so interesting. I'm going to go to this one here, an Indian stock, a stock which also is in a long-term uptrend. In fact, this stock is long-term uptrending for so long that MA Rush, our trend indicator here, didn't even have a chance to show us it's in an uptrend because it never changed direction. We're going to fix this because it's a bit confusing that it doesn't show uptrend here. But if you just scroll back, you can see, hey, this stock is definitely bullish. Look at this beautiful uptrend. But also here, guess what happened? We broke above resistance right here. Price initially went up and now it pulled back to this resistance level, which now may act as support. So I like this one also very much for a long entry here. So I'm going to add this one as well to our list. All right. Perfect. So I hope you can see how easy it can be to use this scanner to find interesting setups for swing trading, which will be relevant for Monday when the market opens. And we love to do these sessions on the weekend because markets are closed. We can take our dear time, to find these interesting setups. There are 5,000 stocks to choose from, and with all these criteria, and we have so many more options in here. We only touched the surface here. You can, look for stocks with big dividend yields and where earnings are coming up or where the div X data is coming up, and so forth for optionable stocks. Yeah, and so forth. All right, so let me quickly go to my watch list here and let's see how many stocks that we find. We have 4, and 4 is fine. It's a good number. I've been talking a lot. I want to have some time in the end to go through some symbols of yours. So let's check out these stocks. The first one is, let's start with TD. We just discussed it. So TD, I mean, if I personally don't like to trade stocks to the short side too much, but I think this could be a really interesting opportunity here to potentially look for put options playing the short side. Options are risk limited. You would buy put options. All you can potentially lose on that one is the options premium. So bet on the fact that perhaps puts are not too expensive, especially after this big move up here. Maybe put your expiration. I don't know how long these swings take. These take maybe from here from September all the way down here to December. That's like 3 months. Maybe put it 3 months out, maybe a bit more, in the anticipation that prices may drop off this level towards the middle, in between support and resistance. And I also like the fact that this is fairly far away, all the way here between 53 and 63. That's like 20%, 20% price move. So that's significant. Definitely something you may want to consider. And also the strangle idea that earnings are coming up may be something which is of interest, but I probably would just pick one leg in this case, and this limited risk of options, potentially play the downside here with put options. I'm going to add this one to our trade notes. All right. I'm going to add this one here. You can also add some manual notes. You can even dictate your notes, but we're not going to do this because it will take too much time. And for some reason, my internet, and every time I share my screen on Zoom, is quite slow, but it's going to be added. This trade note is going to be added very soon, hopefully, to this chart. All right. Meanwhile, while this is working, are there any questions, Nicholas?
Yeah. From Francis or Francais Cornacchia, Francois, maybe. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Moody US debt downgrade on Friday after
Yeah,
the close? The last two
that's
grades caused significant corrections.
yeah, that's interestingly, this exact same question was asked um earlier this morning when I had my webinar with my German broker, Cap Trader, in German, by the way. And my take there was, I think it will not have a big impact. I think it's just, it's for a country which prints its own currency. These downgrades, I think, are not so significant, unless, of course, people buy into this, that this could be a major issue for the US in terms of their solvency and so forth, which I don't believe it is. So I think this is going to be resolved fairly easily. And this is my opinion, of course, I might be completely wrong. I don't foresee, just go back to the SPY here. I don't foresee any big move off this announcement. I've heard it also, but I think prices may gap down, but I think then for other reasons, if something significant happens on the weekend. But I think this news alone, to me at least, will not warrant a massive move in the big indices in the US. But that's my take on it.
And his next question was, where are you in Canada? He's from
Ah,
Toronto.
we're in Montreal, good old Montreal. Yeah, it's been our headquarters. Nicholas is also from Montreal, all nearby, and Homa also. So we're all Montrealers. Me, of course, being German by birth, but I moved to Montreal about 25 years ago. So it's become my home since then.
Perfect. And Lenny just has a comment, another great or informative discussion by Daniel. It's disappointing you can't pause time and go back 15 seconds to repeat an important point. I
Oh,
think you might have made a great point at the time.
the good news is that this session is being recorded, of course, and you can find the recording on our page. Nicholas, please put this link in there. It's tradingindicators.com/view to watch the recording shortly afterwards. So yeah, you can
Perfect.
always
And
go
then
back.
Brian says he's got 123 Strike AI on TradingView now. Is it possible to add that as an option to search on?
It is possible. It's not there at this moment. This is something we are going to look into later on this year to add these AI indicators to our dashboard. But that's a longer term project. We would do it if it was easy, but actually it's a very complex undertaking because having these indicators on the actual TradingView platform is one thing, but integrating those into the scanner and the charting here is a completely different pair of shoes. And it's something we're considering along with other indicators like volume IQ, for example.
And Eli Lilly, if we
Yeah,
can check that chart, please. There's a question. It seems horizontal. Didn't
yeah,
Amazon have a similar 2-year horizontal zone?
yeah. It's definitely horizontal, absolutely. Along with our TT chart, it's definitely horizontal. I mean, it's definitely correcting after this big move up. I think there's no second opinion about this. But these corrections, even though they are sideways, and yes, horizontal, we have these lines here, there can be opportunities, especially if that range is so wide between 971 or whatever that is and down here at 711. That's a huge range. So there's still a lot of opportunity in there. And this stock moves. Look how fast prices can go from here to here. That's just a week or two. So this is a fast moving stock, and these these ranges can be filled very quickly with Eli Lilly. That's what makes it interesting. Maybe even more so with options, because then you have less risk on the table. Should things move quickly to the other side. But yeah, that's something yeah, everybody needs to decide for him or herself.
And now a question, sounding kind of like Eli, do you do any Elliott wave analysis?
We don't. We have to keep it simple. And I believe, all these Elliott wave stuff, these can be reduced to some technical patterns we are considering anyways. Pullbacks after a big trend up, flag patterns, which we had with Bitcoin and so forth. So we don't count waves. I think it's too subjective, in my opinion. I know many people believe in this very much. That's fine. It's just something we don't do. It's subjective to count these waves. And if things cannot be done properly algorithmically, like with indicators, for example, we can't even scan for those things. And then it becomes a manual activity to count these waves. And if you want to have the luxury to find the best opportunities within 5,000 symbols, then anything manual, at least for the initial filtering, is just not feasible. For these reasons, we don't do it.
Okay, and then two last questions here. Um, isn't there a big expansion of stocks about to be implemented? So I think, aren't
Yeah,
we about to add a lot of stocks
we've
to the
already
dashboard?
added quite a few to it. It just doesn't seem like it because some have been also eliminated. But yes, that's coming as well. Mhm.
Perfect. And then, okay, just a comment. There were three agencies downgrading the debt in 2011, 2023, and now 2025. Okay. Thank you for that
I mean, it's
information.
an unspoken secret that the US is in high debt. There's even debt counters on Times Square, I believe, or whenever these are showing the national debt. Or what did I see it the other day? Maybe it was in Washington when I had to stop over there. But yeah, it's I mean, everybody knows about the debt of the US, but the US prints its own currency. So I don't know how much value you need to give that number if you can just print that money. That's my take. So I think it needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Yeah. And a question here. Okay, just from Bappa, it was a comment that Eli Lilly kind of seemed to be forming not a horizontal, but also a downward channel.
It could be if you
Um,
draw differently, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It could be. I mean, there's some subjectivity here. I still think it's a very bullish stock. This is the correction. Whether this is the very end of the correction, this is my take right now. I think it might be. Then we can play the bounce to the long side here, but it may go a bit deeper, even to this level. This is, if you measure this out, and I don't want to spend too much time on Eli Lilly, but if you measure this out, this correction that we're seeing, even though it's big, I don't know where to find the low point here of this. Maybe here. This is the low point. If I measure this with Fibonacci's, you will see this is very shallow so far. Let's see, we go from here all the way to here. How deep was this correction? If I go full screen, let's see. So here, right now, even this level here is only, what is this? Yeah, between 22.6 and 32.2%. That's not a lot. If you take this entire swing upwards, which I think is probably not realistic. So from this point of view, yes, you may have a point. This correction may go deeper if you take this entire swing up. Because the most commonly cited Fib number is 61.8, which would be all the way down here, which would be a huge move down. So I hope this is not going to happen. But this way you also have your stops in place, or perhaps play this one with options. So that way you have limited risk. But
okay, and are there any divergences you scan for? Is there any way to scan for some sort of divergence?
right now we don't know.
Perfect. Okay. And I think one example of a divergence in a sense is when we have a long-term uptrend, which you usually look for, and then a pullback on trend radar. So, not really
It
between
could
two
be. Yeah,
indicators, but it's
you,
a bit
you
of
can
a
combine different readings to try to identify divergences, because a divergence in the end is just a disagreement between what price is doing and what an indicator is showing you. So if you find these ones, uh, then you have a divergence, but you have to kind of be a bit creative right now with the dashboard.
and the last one, Lenny just commented about the Elliott wave response that, hey, a lot of the stuff that Daniel, you do on the scanning also seems to have some subjective insight. So maybe that's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's definitely not a bad thing, and I think you should always use your gut feeling to some extent when it comes to trading. But what I actually meant is not to do that. But if you cannot scan for it, if you have to do a manual analysis of Elliott wave for 5,000 stocks, it's just not possible. This is why we focus on stuff where we actually can scan for. when is the stock near a key support level or a key resistance level and so forth. That's kind of more what we're looking for.
Perfect. Thanks, Daniel. And then the last questions are symbol requests.
Okay, cool. Let me just quickly, I don't know what happened to my computer. This is a brand new computer and I seem to be haunted with my laptop. I don't really reload this dashboard, but I know it's freezing up a little bit. And let's see what's going on here. Let me close something. Give me one quick second, guys, please. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna do symbol request if my dashboard is loading again. But this happens sometimes when I share my screen, it just freezes up on Zoom. Strange. In any case, what are the symbol requests, Nicholas? I'm gonna open these
The
up on
first one,
TradingView while this is
yeah, the
running.
first one's RMBS.
Yeah. All right. So RMBS. So this is on TradingView, but it would look the same on our dashboard. This is the daily chart. Let's have a quick look. So what do we see here? Yeah, it just turned bearish here, and I believe Rambus. Yeah, I kind of have deja vu right now. I think I discussed this one also earlier in my other sessions today. So what do we see here? So prices went bearish. They were respecting these levels very nicely. A nice bounce off this key resistance level here, down here to support. It bounced off, and now we're right at the zone of control as per our volume IQ indicator. We are kind of bearish here, and there's also a resistance level here. So my take here would be a bearish move off this level. So the technicals are telling me this. Enemy Rush is bearish. We are nearing resistance here, this line here, and we are near the zone of control. So this could be a bearish. To me, it looks bearish from a technical point of view. Whether I would trade it, I'm not sure because it's kind of all over the place. And I think long term, this is a bullish stock. So would I go against this overarching long trend here? Probably not. So I would stay away. Perhaps if we get above this level, maybe I would be bullish towards this resistance level. But personally, right now, I would stay away from this one. Yeah, too risky. It's a bullish stock, and it looks to me this correctional phase eventually will come to an end, and then you just have to bet on the fact that hey, maybe you see one more leg down. But to me, it would be a bit too risky.
Perfect. And the next one is Foot Locker from Aubrey. He mentions it jumped 80% when Dick's Sporting Goods took it over
Yeah,
at a 66% premium. And he's saying, hey, it looks like it's screaming a short trade.
yeah, could be a huge move. I
It's
mean,
at a tier 2 on volume IQ.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Let me just make this a bit bigger here. Oops. What do we see here? So prices jumped up on what was a Thursday, I believe, all the way to this level. Huge gap. And that was the question. Can you anticipate these gaps? Yeah, if you had knowledge about that this would be happening, yeah, probably you could. But if you don't know these big fundamental news, if you don't have any inside information, then it's hard to predict. But yeah, what happened here is interestingly it jumped up right to the zone of control of our volume IQ indicator, which could be acting as resistance right now. And yeah, we are bearish here. We do also have a liquidity capture event here right at this resistance level. So this, yeah, Aubrey, I agree with you. A nice jump up exactly to this resistance level with a liquidity capture and the zone of control. And oftentimes of these big jumps up, you will see a bit of a correction here to the downside. And yeah, this yells for perhaps some put options here if you want to play it safe with options.
Yeah, a lot of
Absolutely.
things lining up.
Yeah.
And the next symbol is Coinbase from Donna. And while you're swapping to Coinbase, the question was just, what's your thoughts on Coinbase? And a question from Lenny, the volume indicator on the right side of your chart, so that's called volume IQ. Is
Yeah.
that part of liquidity IQ?
No, it's not. We are looking to edit. This is also one of these big projects that we have in mind, which you may
Or
think, oh, it's easy to
looking to
put
add
this.
it, just to clarify, looking to add it to the dashboard, because the question
Yeah.
was, is it part of liquidity IQ?
Oh, no, it's not. It's a separate indicator. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let me just see if this one loads. Okay. Oh, we're back. All right. I don't know what happened here with the dashboard, but uh, what I also wanted to do before we jump into some symbols is to have a quick look at our watch list just to find the most interesting trades that we identified. So we had TD. I'll just quickly wrap this one up, go through our watch list again. Okay, so TD we looked at. iShares physical gold. Yeah, I like this one a lot. And if this ever loads, this was the one with this beautiful uptrend. as you'll see once it's loading, with the correction right now back to its broken resistance level. So, I mean, this to me is one of my favorite ones. Beautiful correction. It may go down all the way to the support level, but I think scaling into this position here, into this uptrend, could be definitely a good idea. This is something I'd be looking to, yeah, when the market opens on Monday. Atma Biologics, quick look here. Yeah, big correction here off these highs. I think maybe it's going to come a bit further down. I probably would I would wait to see if this correction is even a bit lower towards this level here at 16, 17. If it comes there, then another long bounce trade here could be of interest. But here I would wait. And the last one is, yeah, Arch Capital Group here. I think similar to Lily, I believe we do have our low point in somehow after this big move up. You can see it here. Big move up. This low point here somehow coincides with the 66.7 retracement level, I believe, from here measured to all the way to up there. Let me just quickly do this. 1 second. So you always measure from here all the way to the top. And yeah, you can, oh, actually to 78.6%. So yeah, big retracement to this level. I think this could be the low point. And if it is, we may see another leg further up for yeah, Arch Capital Group. So I like this one as well for the one for the next week. All right, perfect. So now let's do some symbol requests.
Yeah, okay. And Kirsten's question, Kirsten, that indicator on the right was volume IQ, which is our volume profile indicator on TradingView. The next one, so Coinbase, if I don't think we got to it yet, right?
It's the Coinbase. Yeah, what do I think about Coinbase as a company? I can say, it's one of these companies that lets you trade cryptos and also host, keep your crypto wallet with them. What do I see here? All right, let me just go back. It's definitely a bullish stock coming from a deeper correction. Let me just quickly see. I think it IPO'd only here in 2022, potentially 2021. Yeah, so fairly new. Approaching resistance right here. So right at this resistance level in Coinbase. And we may see a bounce further down. So I personally would stay on the sidelines. It seems to me it's like a bullish stock. We may see a bounce as we've seen it here, but I would wait. If we clear this level, ideally all-time highs, and then I think we're gonna see all-time like a big bounce up. But if anything, maybe play the bounce right now off this stock, but a bit too maybe with options if that's something you may want to consider.
Thanks, Daniel. And the next one is 22UA.
22UA. What is this stock? This is a German one. Yeah, we have to definitely improve our German offering. That's one of the stocks which were completely hyped up during COVID because they're the ones behind they collaborated with Pfizer for one of the vaccines. You can see here, this was COVID heights. Huge move up, and since then in a downtrend. They're doing research in all kinds of things, not just COVID vaccines, of course. Um, yeah, it's a bit all over the place. We went bearish here at the zone of control. Uh, I would also not, I don't see anything technically interesting here. It's kind of went bearish. If anything, maybe put options for this one because we are near the zone of control and we may see another leg further down towards this level here, but there's not that much room left. So I would stay away from this one and definitely not play it to the long side.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Daniel. And the next one is EW.
Yeah. EW. Okay. Where is it? EW. Edwards Life Sciences just switched trend from bearish to bullish 3 days ago. We can see it here. Yeah, we're right at this resistance level here. We seem to break it, and there's this huge gap. That's an interesting one because, you know, what you could now anticipate, let me just take this one indicator off so it's a bit easier to see. What we can anticipate if we clear this level here, maybe the next stop will be all the way this level, around this level here, in an attempt to test this gap, this massive gap. So yeah, if that's your market story, I think it could be definitely interesting to see if markets will test this gap here, and then this could be a nice long trade for sure.
Thank you, Daniel. And the next symbol, let me just make sure I did not miss this question. Okay, Lenny just commented on the gap issue. Can we see the gap? Is that the gap?
Yeah,
Is that the gap? 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 Is that the He's beginning to understand that gaps put the stock price in oversold territory, I guess when they gap down. So he's trying to figure out if gaps are the beginning of a flagpole formation a lot of the time, and then a need to consolidate. Is there always a gap fill to follow? Um,
No, not always, but it's something that many traders believe in, that gaps tend to get tested over time. And this sometimes can take a long time, like here, potentially. And this is a long time ago. This is last year, almost 12 months ago that we may fill this gap. But this, is something that you will see many, many times, that gaps get tested and filled. And, you know, I think we mentioned this in the very beginning, that we are currently working on an indicator which looks for these gaps. First of all, it shows them directly on the chart, and also gives you some statistics. How often do these gaps actually get filled for a particular symbol and on a particular time frame? So that's something we are currently working on, along with a seasonality indicator, giving you insights on some seasonality patterns besides Apple, besides the ones that everybody knows about, where things go up at certain times during the year. But I think there's so many different seasonality effects on stocks, which are not so much in the headlines. So that's something we're definitely working on. And this will be also integrated into the dashboard, into the scanner.
Yeah, and just a subjective take on it too. A lot of the time when a gap happens, it puts a lot of people and institutions, maybe funds or banks, it puts them in a big profit, depending on what their position was. And then when they take profits, sometimes it just starts to retrace. Like if you gap up, and then people who had a lot of shares, they just sell, and this often can influence short-term gap fills. Um, the next one is VRSN,
All right.
and then we have United Healthcare after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. United Healthcare, I can tell you right now, is in big trouble. Oh, look at this one. Thanks for pointing this out. Very Sign Inc. I think this is one of these Doku Sign kind of companies. Let me just quickly see what this one does. Oh no, domain name registration. Okay, I guess a GoDaddy competitor of some sort. Look, beautiful zone break retrace pattern. I mean, this is textbook. Zone break here of resistance. You see it here. We broke above. Then the retracement almost to the cent, back to the broken resistance level, and then the move upwards. Ah, that's a beauty. Thanks for pointing this one out. Love it. Right now we extended though. Let me just quickly put MA Russia. Look how far we are away from our MA, from our averages here. So would I go long now? Probably not. I would wait for some sort of pullback as per trend radar. So here I would wait maybe for a level 3 pullback, something like this, or level 4 pullback even, and then potentially go long. To me, it seems a bit too extended. But yeah, beautiful stock. I like it.
Thank you, Bappa. And then the next one is, yeah, United Healthcare.
Yeah, this one is in trouble. We discussed this earlier today. It fell into the abyss. We broke a below support 17 bars ago. I can see it here already on the scanner. Short break 17 days ago. Big move down, and now it's just free fall. There's not even a level nearby which could hold this one. Will it go forever? I don't know, but yeah, it looks very bearish to me. The fact that we broke this level here and there's nothing below, that's a bit scary. So this might continue for a little while.
A good thing,
I think.
if you have volume IQ, just a comment for users, is to check the weekly chart volume IQ. When there's no level below, maybe you'll
Yeah,
see something there.
let's
Okay,
have a quick look.
SoFi is, oh, after
Yeah,
you check
and
this, SOFI.
let's do maybe two or three more because I have unfortunately I do have a family commitment. It's one of my last days here in Germany, and I can already smell the barbecue down there. It should not be an excuse, but I need to spend a little bit of time with them at least. It's getting a bit late, but yeah, there's, United Healthcare, which was the symbol UNH. Yes, real quick, UNH on. Oh boy, let's see if Volume IQ picks anything up here. No, that's just nothing. Let me go to the weekly just for the fun of it to see if we have anything that. Oh, wow, what a huge! Oh, actually, right down to this zone of control. That's interesting. Actually, that now makes more sense. Good call, Nicholas. Look at where we went down to, exactly to the zone of control, which are often acting as support or resistance, depending on from where you're coming from, if price approaches them. Cool. This is why I said sometimes when the zone of control and volume profile coincides with a support level or resistance level of liquidity IQ, this can further strengthen the setup. Cool.
Perfect. Thanks, Daniel. The next, so two more symbols, I guess.
Yeah.
We actually, okay, yeah. So we have three requests in total if we have time. But the next one is Mara. So I think Marathon
Oh,
Digital.
yeah. There we go. Bearish since 40 trading days. And here, a bearish level for a pullback. Kind of the opposite of what we discussed previously. You can see it here. The last row is red here, and then we had 4 green rows on top. So it's like a pullback to the upside in a bearish trend. What would I do here? Let me just zoom out a little bit. Ah, hard to say. One of these stocks I probably would not touch right now. It's just too rangy, but too volatile. If anything, I'd say bearish because MAREF says bearish, and we may pull back towards the support level at the minimum, around 13. But I personally would not trade it.
Daniel, and the last two is Monster Energy Drink, MNST.
All right, long break. We just broke above resistance on Friday, in fact. Bearish for 40 since 44 trading days. And let me see where we're coming from. Oh, that's interesting. We were on this long consolidation pattern here, which also seems to me like after a big swing up. Yeah, big long consolidation now finally above. That looks bullish to me. That's a nice zone break pattern here. So to me, a nice uh, yeah, breakout potentially to the upside. Just be aware that we may see one more fake out down towards this broken resistance level, and then things may take off. But yeah, that definitely looks bullish to me. Good call.
Yeah, nice chart. And then from Sylvia, last one, Enphase, ENPH. And while you're going there, we have a question from Lenny. I find myself on a daily basis going to the dashboard to get a symbol you might be reading about. But if I like the chart, I want to add it to a watch list. Can I do that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you can create your own watch list here, create it, in that drop down, and just give it a name, you know, like Lenny's stocks or whatever it might be. And then you just add any stock to this watch list. So now let's say you like this one here, add, and just pick Lenny's watch list if I can find it once. It's not created. It just my computer's kind of frozen today. But yeah, you can definitely do it. Take my word for it. You can just add a stock to any watch list you like. All right. Okay. And for this one here, for ENPH, just go here, ENPH. Yeah, bearish, long-term bearish. We just fell above support here. So to me, definitely something on the short side for this one. Maybe wait for the retracement back to this broken support level to have our classic zone break retrace pattern here. Actually, we're right there. Yeah, definitely interesting bearish idea. Also, that because we have a pullback here on this bearish trend. So we went a bit up. Maybe we can try to reshort it at this level.
And sorry, Daniel, I skipped Patrick's. If we could just do Sophie, the last
Yeah,
one, SOFI. Thank you.
I was about to type it in earlier, and then you changed my mind. Okay, Sophie, 157 trading days bullish. All right, and let's have a look here. Uh, yeah, we're bullish. Nice pullback here. And yeah, if you think that, hey, this correction is the end here, we pulled back to the support level. And now we're also above this resistance level here, which could now act as support. This could be an interesting long-term or bullish trade here, but I would wait perhaps for things to come down to this level and then maybe enter long. But overall, it's not the cleanest setup. So if you're not committed to this stock yet, perhaps I would look for other opportunities. All
Thank
right.
you, Daniel. And one last question now, not a
Yeah.
symbol. We're done with symbols. Is Lenny, he said, okay, about the watch list, that's not what he meant. I'm adding the tame. I'm not sure what tame means, maybe time or theme. I'm adding the tame to the search on the chart side, and it doesn't show on the left side to add it to a watch list. Okay, so when you're on the chart component and you type in a symbol there, it doesn't show up on, there's no way to add it to the watch list from the chart component because it doesn't sync up with the scanner when you add,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
when
have
you
to do it
change the
from the
symbol.
scanner side here. Exactly. So that's the only way we can click. This is yeah, it has to be from here. There's no way around this, unfortunately. Yeah.
Perfect. And the last one
Perfect.
was, Gerald, how do we get those indicators you're using on TradingView? And I think the main ones you're using on TradingView are Liquidity IQ and Volume IQ, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put the links in the chat for
Perfect.
the
Yeah, and you can
pages.
also send us an email. So these are unrelated to the dashboard indicators in the sense that they are separate products. Uh, but the good news is if you want to get them for TradingView, you get them for the most part, at least for life. There's no subscription fee for it, but there will be a separate purchase needed outside this dashboard here. All right. So now a quick reminder, guys, if you want to give it a try, this dashboard, go to tradingindicators.com/view to check it out. As I mentioned, I'll give the full week of a free trial. And yeah, then you can try it out. And if you like it, we have interesting monthly and yearly options. And for those of you who already have it, don't forget about our bootcamp at tradingindicators.com/bootcamp to learn all the different things which are included. As I said, there are so many things. We've been developing this for many years now. So it's fully loaded. And the bootcamp will tell you all about these different features. And two last things. If you on our Discord channel here, it's tradingindicators.com/Discord. And if you're more a day trader, check out the recording of our latest day trading workshop when was it? Last Thursday. It was a tough trading day. It was not very clear, but we managed to get a profit. And I really like the progression that we use there to analyze the story of the market and look for signals to find the trade that was the trade of the day that day. All right. Perfect. With this, guys, if I have forgotten any of your questions or something was overlooked, please reach out to me via our homepage, tradingindicators.com. Go to the main menu, click on contact, put your question into the contact form, and it will go straight to my inbox. And I'll make sure to get back to every single question that you may have. With this, guys, have a great Saturday evening. If you are in Germany, we do have quite a few German users here. If you are someplace else, either a good night or a good afternoon. And see you soon. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday when it's Lunch and Learn at 6 p.m. Germany time and 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, New York time. With that, guys, enjoy your weekend and talk soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Niklas. Bye.